Hi, Sandy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the A.D.K. Rock and Metal channel. Today we're doing breaking down and pulling apart. This is where we take a song, video, and we dissect it into 1 minute blocks for you at home. We've all gone away and we've already watched the video and made our notes. Today we are going to be checking out the classic from the wonderful Queensryche and Operation Mindcrime.
We're an overground revolution working overtime.
So this came out in 1988. It is a concept album from a band. Obviously, the band formed in 1982. They are officially classed as prog metal, although this track does not come across as prog metal to me. Not in the concept of what I think of as prog metal. This was more of a kind of a classic rock song, to be honest, in a way. This song, but there is definitely some songs on that album that have got prog metal elements definitely in there. It is the story of Nicky, a drug addict who becomes disillusioned with the corrupt society and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Read the concept. I'm not going into it. It's a freaking massive long list of what the story is about, but it's great. It's a really good story. And there are some great songs on this album. I was listening to the album the other day, but we picked this one off the video, so we thought we'd go with this one. Let's get into it. We're going to play you the first minute from the video, and then we're going to start to talk about it. So this is minute 0 to minute 1 of Operation Mindcrime for you at home. Can't stop doing it. It's impossible.
That's an amazing song. That's why.
Okay, there we go. So, first minute, we have got this dynamic intro build up. So it's the classic build up of an 80s rock band, where it's the big hair bands like Bon Jovi, White Snake, all of that. This was a classic of if you were a hair rock band from the 80s, Halloween, Cinderella, you name it. This would be a classic staple of how you would write a song. And funnily enough, once you get into like the 90s, no one wrote intros like this anymore. They're like, no, we've got to stop that. It's far too 80s. We can't do this anymore. But it instantly dates this song for that period. It's like, again, the other thing they loved using stage shows. So if you go back, if you saw all bands like Kiss, Poison, they always had a big stage show set up on a sound stage, and they always did the performance. There was never a crowd. They just had them rolling around on the stages and doing big performances to cameras and stuff. And there is a video about the whole background behind this video and how they shot it and the big screens in the background. It's actually worth watching that video. I mean, it's great rock moves, great pep. It's of the time, but I love the thumping bass. It comes through really well in the mix. And Jeff Tate's vocals, classic vocal delivery. I mean, of the vocalists of the time of the 80s, there are multiple singers that came out. If you were to talk about bands like Blackie Lawless from Wasp and Cinderella, Halloween, and I wouldn't be able to tell you who they sound like. When Jeff Tate sings, I'm like, yeah, that's Jeff Tate. He was unique in his style. He is unique. He's still with us, but he's unique in his style of vocal delivery. So yeah, really, really enjoy that first minute of the track. Andy.
Yet another band I've never heard before. Obviously, I've heard of Queensryche. I think I might even have a single up here. I don't know where that's from or why I've got it. Certainly never.
Silent Lucidity. I bet you bought that on single in 19.
I found it handed to me. I don't know. But yeah,
Get City Woman.
I'll let you know in a minute. Yeah, the video just reminds me of so many of this time. Big, massive open stages, as you say, no crowd. They're running around with, no leads on their instruments. posturing, spotlights following them around. So this is very
Playing to the camera.
Yeah, it looks like all those Europe, Kiss, Bon Jovi videos of the time. But I really like the sort of, really hooky, accessible intro. And before the song even really gets going, you can tell how good a vocalist Jeff Tate is. I mean, I've heard that he's a great vocalist. He's revered. So I've never heard him, but you think, wow, yeah, this man can sing, and he's really, really, really good. Really great opening 60 seconds.
Kirk?
I need to declare at the beginning that, in my opinion, this is the best storytelling album in the history of heavy metal. It is, honestly, this is a desert island disc. If someone said, give me 10 metal albums, this would be one of them, even though it's really hard rock, isn't it? When you
listen to hard rock, but yeah.
But I love that lingering swell of feedback, in between the riff, do, 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 and you've got the other guitar, which just letting the bleed come through. And that bass is begging for you to put your fist in the end, dude. And listen to how loud the kick drum is. That single kick drum as well.
Yeah.
So it's got that Mutt Lange Def Leppard type production, hasn't it? And they actually did support Def Leppard, and they did a tour with Metallica on the same, when they were promoting this album. That just shows you where
was that the Justice for All tour?
Yeah. So they've actually supported Def Leppard, and then they supported Metallica. That shows you the crossover appeal that they had as a band. But yeah, I mean, this is preparing you for an anthem, and they're kind of be quite self-indulgent at first. When it's like, you've asked for it, you're gonna get another anthem, and they're just like asking you to count down almost, aren't they?
So I'm like Andy. Before this album, I had only ever heard of a single, and I can't remember if it was Jet City Woman or something like that. It was on a compilation. I was like, that's a good track. But I never got into them. And then I kept hearing how Operation Mindcrime is the best storytelling progressive metal album. And I'm like, well, I'm going to have to just get it then, am I? I've just got to check it out. Because if everyone keeps telling you, like they say, Master of Puppets, Metallica is the best classic thrash album, I'm like, well, you've got to go and listen to it. And then I listened to it and went, yeah, they could be right, actually. It's not the best metal album in the world by any long shot. But if you go from start to finish, as a storytelling element of how they concoct their songs and they all flow together, you kind of go, well, yeah, actually probably is the best storytelling progressive metal album ever. I haven't got any of their other albums. I've got this one, but it's such a good album. It's well worth it. Okay, let's move on to the next minute. This is minute 1 to minute 2 for you at home.
A hitman for the order when you couldn't go to school. Had a skin job for a hairdo. Yeah, you looked pretty cool. Had a habit doing mainline. Watch the dragon burn. No regrets, you got no goals. Nothing more to learn. Now I know you won't refuse. Because we've got so much to do. And you've got nothing more to lose. So take this number and welcome to Operation Mindcrime. We're an underground revolution working overtime. Operation Mindcrime. There's a job for you in the system, boy, with nothing to say.
Okay, so we've got some elements of story in this. I was trying to keep an eye on it. It's obviously, I think you need the context of where this sits in the album for this video to make a lot more sense, because you've got this whole story background if you read up about the album. So you've got to try and think about where it is in the actual story mix. But I mean, the lighting in this video is awful. For the story elements, they got good stage lighting, and the story video ones, they shot it really badly. It's in bad lighting, but it works. I guess it's kind of like they're trying to almost go for like a film noir look, but badly. They've not done it very, very well, because whoever shot it with the lighting just fucked it up completely with the lighting skills. But it's good the way they've cut between the two. Great interspersion. So we've seen it in more recent videos where people try to do story elements where they cut too quickly. So you get a bit of story, and then just as you're getting a bit of an idea of what the story is, they keep cutting back to the band, and then they cut like every 1.5 seconds they're on another shot. This one lingers long enough to allow you to enjoy those shots. But as we said earlier, it's less prog rock and much more classic hard rock, this song. I think the prog rock element on this album comes from the concept of storytelling more than just being a straight out hard rock album. But Andy,
I think you two have said enough already for me to want to listen to this album. We spoke on earlier in the session about my sort of musical maturity and maybe moving away from the death and the doom, which is pretty simple and almost, very repetitive, and lots of bands are doing the same sort of thing. But let's get away from that and move into some absolutely superb musicians and songwriters that are going to be in bands like Queensryche and the others that we mentioned. Dave, you're right about the sort of story element of the video. There's not much going on apart from sort of two guys obviously discussing something across the desk, but it doesn't look particularly good. But maybe they are going for that sort of style of filmmaking that you mentioned film noir. Maybe that's what they're actually after, rather than it being. Maybe that's intentional, is what I'm trying to say. This section of the song has got, I'm not going to do it, but one of you will, the pre-chorus and the chorus, and a solo which sort of starts towards the end of this section, which goes on for quite a bit, which I, not being someone who really likes solos, enjoyed this. I thought it was really good, but there's just a little bit too much showboating, posturing and headstocks to the camera, and but this is
it's of its time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's of its time. It's what they were all doing in the late 80s, and I'm again surprised how much I enjoyed this track. And again, Jeff Tate's vocals are incredible, and you two have done enough for me to perhaps get into Queensryche, which I thought I'd never say.
Kirk,
let me fill you in on the story at this point then. So those two protagonists, you've got the sinister looking Dr. X. It's clear which one he is. And then Nikki is this junkie who's been recruited into this clandestine operation that carry out political assassinations worldwide. And this is where he's become this puppet and he's being manipulated, and he doesn't quite question why he's being recruited into this. That comes later on. I'll not spoil it for Andy because it's great. Just listen to the album and you get the story where he falls in love with this former nun called Sister Mary. But what I like about this point as well, there's a great, what we call in songwriting, a pickup. So you get a tempo pickup. It's not a change of key, but so now we've got so much to do. It just really, they kind of like Jeff Tate reclaims control of the song, I would say, at that point. And can you sing the chorus after one listen? Yes, you can.
Oh yeah, we've done it enough already.
I was going to say, remind the viewers what the chorus is.
Do you want me to do it again?
Go for it.
Operation Mindcrime.
Right, come on, let's move on to the next section. Come on. This is minute 2 to minute 3 for you at home. Okay, so Andy, you made a mention of it. Obviously, we're into the solo section now, and it is. I mean, this is of the 80s. This is indulgent rock solos, which you expect. If there was an 80s hair metal bass band that didn't have an over the top indulgent solo, it wouldn't be an 80s hair and rock metal band. They just had to do them. It works well within the song structure. What I liked about here, though, is in a lot of cases with these bands at the time, the section that they would solo over would be the same riff, 16 bars of the same riff, but this one doesn't. It actually has a structure. So you get 4 bars of a certain chord progression, then the chord progression changes and the solo just flows with it. So it keeps changing the underlying dynamics of it. It's like you guys mentioned that we did on a Telescribe album with one of our solos where we actually changed it over. I think it was on Witchfinder General, where we actually have 3 different chord or riff structures underneath the solo, so it constantly manipulates and changes. Not saying Telescribe and Queensryche are the same, but well, it's got that kind of vibe where it's a long solo, and if it had been 16 bars of that same riff underneath, you'd have got really bored of that solo very quickly. But the fact that it's not a standard 4x4 or 4/4 time signature structure underneath, you're getting these nice changes overall. I thought worked really well. Andy,
I didn't analyze it that deep, and I'm sure you're absolutely right, Dave. And that's probably why the solo does work for me, whereas others don't. And it also just demonstrates, the maturity and the songwriting ability and the musicianship of these guys, because it would be quite easy, as often is the case, maybe 1 or 2 riffs from earlier the song are played by the rhythm guitarist and the solo goes over the top. But this is, as you say, perhaps a brand new creative passage that isn't used elsewhere in the track, purely to back up the solo and keep it interesting, which is really, really good.
Kirk?
Yeah, like you, Andy, I'm going to do a countryside walk after this, and Operation Mindcrime is definitely going on my... I just want to go through the countryside just singing this song out of key, obviously, because I can't sing. And we're talking about...
there's going to be like people doing dog walking, and just over the background, they're just going to hear Operation Mindcrime.
We are talking about one of the best
technical another vocal highlights you could do, Kirk. Are there any other good choruses you could pick out?
Oh, and this, well, in fact, I'll tell you what, before we talk about the solo, do you remember this part? Hey, Nicky, you know everything that there is to do. Here's a gun, take it home, wait by the phone. It's just like, when we say storytelling, this is just incredible. It really is. And that guitar solo gets me every time. It makes you breathe in, because it starts with this pinch harmonic, doesn't it? And again, I think there's some kind of like whammy compression. It is so tasteful. And when we look at the hair metal era, they're not really a hair metal band, Queensryche, the traditional heavy metal. You've got to say, I don't think any scene has ever been as technically gifted as those cop rock, Sunset Strip bands. They really took Van Halen, didn't they, in his technique, and displaced the blues with this really technical shred patterns. This isn't mindless shredding, though. It's so well thought out. I love it. And did you notice, though, when the guy gets on his knees to play the solo, Jeff Tate mirrors his posture, and then he does this like backwards roll and gets back on the showmanship.
Yeah.
And then there's a high five moment as well. When the second guitarist comes in, Jeff Tate does a high five with him. So he starts, shredding through the scales. It's just, they don't, do you know that old saying, they don't write them like this anymore? That applies here.
But on this album also, I just realised that the last song on the album, Eyes of a Stranger.
Oh, I love that song.
It's such a great song. But again, through the eyes of a stranger.
Yeah. I don't believe in love.
You just sing the same lyric, the vocal melody.
Into the eyes of a stranger. Yeah.
Operation Mindcrime. Come on, Jeff. You've got to come up with a better lyric line. Come on. Right, let's do the last minute. Come on, minute and a half. So this is minute 3 to minute 4:27 for you at the.
And that machine make this steady bleed. Now I know you won't refuse. I know you won't, because we've got so much to do. We've got so much, you got nothing more to lose. So take this number to Operation revolution working overtime. Operation Mindcrime.
Okay, so there we go. I didn't really write much about this. I've just written it as a kind of summary, but I have to say, Jeff Tate's vocal range throughout this song is freaking insane. There is no one that sounds like Jeff Tate within like the rock world vocally. You could say the same with other singers. Like you could say, well, Halford sounds like Halford, and Dickinson sounds like Dickinson from like the classic metal bands, and Dio sound like Dio. But within the hair bands, I couldn't tell you who the singer was of Halloween and Cinderella, and they kind of all kind of blend. But when Jeff Tate sings, whether he's doing solo work or if he's doing that, you know it's Jeff Tate. He's got such a major range. The song is bombastic and twisted, and it's 1980s, and I loved it every minute of this particular track. So that's my summary for that one. Andy.
Yeah, not much to add either. Just the pre-chorus and chorus. But in the video, there's the Russian roulette scene. So you've explained, Kirk, that it's a concept album, and this is a particular part of the storyline, and it makes probably more sense if you listen to the album in full. But we get an idea of what the two guys are doing. I'm always a bit disturbed by Russian roulette scenes. I mean, why on earth would you want to do it? Do you know what I mean? But that's a discussion for another day, isn't it? But I'll just summarise by saying, never would have dreamt of listening to Queensryche. But you know this song and both of your two's enjoyment of it and sort of portraying how good it is, and of course the Operation Mindcrime chorus has got me hooked, got involved. I'll be listening to it this afternoon, and I'll let you know my thoughts when we speak again.
Definitely. Kirk.
They're really America's answer to Judas Priest, aren't they? Or Maiden. Maiden are a massive influence on this song as well. I just love, I think when you say Jeff Tate there, he really is demonstrating every vocal style that he's got in his register at the end. There's a job for you in the system, boy, with nothing. He does this like huge vibrato, which he's basically like a singing teacher, isn't he? That's someone saying, look, I've got everything in my repertoire and I'm going to show you how to do it. How he reaches those high notes is just incredible. And there's a lot of humph behind them as well, isn't it? It's not like he's doing a falsetto because there's so much power there. Can you imagine having to do a world tour and you've got to sing like that 30 nights in a row? Like that is tough. You know, there's not many who could do it. Clearly Jeff Tate could, but yeah, what more do we need to say? This is such an iconic song. This album, Kerrang had it at number 2 of their album of the year. I think I've said this. Can you guess what was number 1?
5 no more.
Yeah, The Real Thing.
Travesty.
Yeah.
There we go. Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching today, and we'll see you in the video sometime very soon. Take care.